Have you ever wondered if there really are ghosts that walk among us? Well, one thing we know for sure is that many people believe they have seen or experienced something that can be explained only by the presence of spirits. But there are places around the world that are so haunted that even priests will not set foot inside. And today, we'll be looking at one such place. So, join us today as we look at this house in Texas that is so haunted even priests woe and enter. But before we get into it, make sure to hit that like button for more videos. The legend of this home begins with the family that built it. And although it doesn't sound like much today, it was once an integral part of the community. This house is located in the small town of Goliad, just situated along the Guadalupe River in southern Texas. It was here that the Iñal family decided to build their home. Iñal was a farmer, and he wanted to share his knowledge of agriculture with others. At first, he opened up a small school, where he taught people how to grow cotton, corn, and other crops. It was unlong before word got out about Iñal and the quality of his teaching. His farm became a popular spot for people to learn new skills. In 1834, the farm had expanded and was now known as Iñal's Grove Seminary. It was here that Iñal and his wife lived with their 3 daughters. The family welcomed students from all over the region, and soon their home became a hub of activity. But tragedy struck when one day a group of Mexican soldiers arrived at the farm and demanded that the family and students leave. They were given only a few minutes to gather their belongings and were forced to abandon their homes and businesses. Although the family was able to escape with their lives, they lost everything, and this is where the story takes a turn for the worse. After the family had left, the Mexican soldiers returned to the farm and began pillaging. They stole everything they could find and then set fire to the buildings. By the time the fire was put out, nothing was left standing, and the farm was completely destroyed. The family never returned, and the land was left abandoned for many years. When the owner finally returned to the property, they found that it was covered in weeds and debris. It was clear that the farm had been completely destroyed, and there was no hope of rebuilding. However, they were determined to make something out of the wreckage. And so, they began the long process of clearing the land. As they worked, they began to find strange objects buried in the rubble. At first, it was just things like pieces of furniture and dishes, but as they dug deeper, they began to find more personal items, such as clothing and jewelry. And this is when they made a truly horrifying discovery. They found the remains of several people who had been killed and buried on the property. It was clear that these were the remains of the family and their students who had been murdered by the Mexican soldiers. To this day, it's unclear what happened to all of the people who were living and working on the farm at the time of the massacre. Some say that the soldiers simply killed everyone and buried them on the property, while others believe that some of the people managed to escape. However, there is no evidence to support either claim, and the truth of what happened to those who lived and worked on the farm may never be known. After making this grim discovery, the owner of the land decided that it was too haunted to ever use for anything again. They abandoned the property, and it was left empty for many years. It was during this time that the legend of the house began to take shape. People in the area began to tell stories of the horrific events that had taken place on the farm and of the ghosts that were said to haunt the property. Some people claimed to have seen the ghost of the family and their students walking the grounds, while others reported hearing the sound of gunshots and screams in the middle of the night. To this day, people are still afraid to go near the house because of the evil that is said to reside there. Finally, in 2007, the property was purchased by 2 businessmen who planned to turn it into a tourist attraction. They spent millions restoring the house and grounds, and it is now open to the public. However, the owners have been unable to get rid of the rumors surrounding the house, and many people still believe that it is haunted. One of the most famous stories about the house is the legend of the crying girl. It is said that at night, visitors can hear the sound of a girl crying in the middle of the night. Some people believe that she is the ghost of one of the students who died in the massacre, while others believe that she is the ghost of the daughter of the family who was killed by the soldiers. Either way, the sound of her crying is said to be one of the most haunting things that visitors have ever experienced. Another story that is often told about the house is the story of the apparition. It is said that from time to time, visitors have seen the ghost of one of the family members walking the grounds. Some people believe that this is the ghost of the father who is searching for his family, while others believe that it is the ghost of one of the daughters who is warning visitors to stay away from the house. Either way, the apparition is said to be one of the most frightening things that visitors have ever seen. But perhaps the most terrifying story about the house is the story of the massacre. It is said that on the anniversary of the massacre, visitors have heard the sounds of gunshots and screams in the middle of the night. Some people believe that this is the ghost of the Mexican soldiers who are reliving the horror of that night, while others believe that it is the ghost of the family and students who are taking their revenge on the soldiers. Either way, the sound of the massacre is said to be one of the most terrifying things that visitors have ever experienced. Many people who have visited the house have come forward with their own stories of the paranormal activity that they have experienced there. Some people have claimed to have seen apparitions, while others have heard strange noises and footsteps. There are even some reports of people being touched or grabbed by unseen forces. All of these stories have contributed to the growing legend of the house and have made it one of the most haunted places in Texas. In recent years, the owners of the house have tried to capitalize on its reputation as a haunted house. They've opened the house to paranormal investigators and have even allowed people to stay overnight in the house to see if they can experience any paranormal activity. Of course, some people have taken this as an opportunity to mock the beliefs of those who believe in ghosts and have stayed in the house, just to prove that there is nothing there. But others have taken it more seriously and have reported some truly amazing experiences. Some people have even claimed to have captured evidence of paranormal activity on camera, including strange lights and shadows, as well as full-bodied apparitions. Although there is no way to prove that these cameras have captured anything paranormal, they have certainly added to the mystery of the house and have made it even more popular among those interested in the paranormal. It's important to note that while many people believe the house is haunted, there is no concrete evidence to prove it. Most of the stories and legends surrounding the house are based on the experiences of those who have visited the house, and there is no way to verify their claims. Nevertheless, the stories make for an interesting legend and have helped to make the house one of the most popular tourist destinations in Texas. But what do you think? Do you believe the house is haunted? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to learn more about haunted houses, check out my video on the most haunted house in America. Thanks for watching.